Hello, horror gamers, new and old alike. Whether you've been playing survival horror games for 20 years or 2 days, I have a list for you of my top 8 survival horror games for the PS1 that aren't Resident Evil. Maybe this will help you discover a new favorite, or a hidden gem. Because let's face it, you've probably already heard of Resident Evil if you clicked on this video, and you probably know how great those games are. So let's give some other gems of the genre a chance to shine. Number 8. Overblood. Released in 1996, developed by River Hillsoft, Overblood is a bit of a strange title on the PS1. It's not the highest quality, it's not the worst, it definitely sits somewhere in the middle. It stars a man who wakes up from cryosleep with no memories, who looks a bit like Barry Burton having a wardrobe malfunction. This game is definitely more comparable to a point-and-click puzzle game than a straight-up survival horror game, but it does have horror elements, as well as some resource management and light combat sections. I think it deserves to be on this list, and I think you should check it out if you like campy sci-fi B-movie grade stories, as well as classic adventure game puzzles. Get ready to karate chop some space zombies. Number 7. Hellnight / Dark Messiah. Released in 1998, developed by Dino Crisis, Hellnight released in Japan as Dark Messiah. Again, it's a bit of a strange entry on the PS1. Also, this one is much scarier. This actually might be one of the scariest games on the list. I've been playing survival horror games for 20 years, and this one still manages to give me the heebie-jeebies when I'm being chased around. In this game, you play as a Japanese person who finds themselves trapped in tunnels underneath Japan after an attempt to escape end-of-the-world cultists goes bad. Alone with a girl, you must explore old war tunnels filled with strange characters who've made these tunnels their home, as well as a monster that's pursuing you relentlessly. This is a bit like a cross between a dungeon crawler and a horror game. If you've ever played SMT, or any other dungeon crawler, you'll get what I mean when you visit populated areas. The monster is scary, and one of the only ways to tell when it's nearby is to listen carefully for its breathing. Unable to defend yourself, you must instead run and hide when the monster finds you, making this something of a proto-amnesia type game. Definitely worth checking out if you like Amnesia, Outlast, Haunting Ground, etc. Number 6. Clock Tower. Released in 1996, developed by Human Entertainment, there are 3 Clock Tower games on the PS1, but I've only played one of them. Simply titled Clock Tower, this is technically the second game in the series, but the first entry to come out here in America. Clock Tower is actually a point-and-click adventure game. It was even compatible with the PS1 mouse. However, don't let that fool you. This game is filled to the brim with tense moments, as you point and click as fast as you can to run and hide from the killer chasing you. The story has a lot of endings, 10 in fact, 5 for each of its playable characters, and most of them end horribly for you. A lot of moments in this play out like a classic teen slasher movie, and honestly I think that works in the favor of the game. The narrative is driven by choices you make, and hints are provided at each ending on how to achieve different endings. A fun game to try and figure out without a guide, as each playthrough only takes a few hours. Just whatever you do, don't stick your head out of that clock tower.
Someone has been messing with it. Oh, no.
Mr. Sullivan?
Oh, no. My hand is stuck.
Number 5. Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare. Released in 2001, developed by Darkworks. Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare. That title is a mouthful. For now, let's just call it Alone in the Dark. This game is technically the 4th entry in this series. However, it's kind of meant to be a reboot. Also, this is the first game on the list that really plays how you would expect a survival horror game to play after playing Resident Evil. Inventory management, very limited health and ammo, 2 playable characters with slight differences, and enemies in almost every room. One thing about this game that I think is extremely impressive is the way that its flashlight works. The backgrounds are pre-rendered like Resident Evil, however your character has a toggleable flashlight that actually lights up the environment really convincingly. This really adds to the atmosphere, and I think it's a great feature to help set the game apart. If you love classic Resident Evil and haven't given this game a try, you should. Number 4. Dino Crisis. Released in 1999, developed by Capcom Production Studio 4. Dino Crisis is the only game from Capcom I'm including on this list. Hey, it's not Resident Evil. Dino Crisis plays very similarly to Resident Evil. However, instead of pre-rendered backgrounds, it has full 3D environments. And instead of zombies, it has dinosaurs. It plays out like someone at Capcom watched Jurassic Park and wanted to make a game based on it. So, if you love Resident Evil and Jurassic Park, you'll probably love this. Like Resident Evil, it has tight inventory management and lots of dangers to avoid, including moments where you can get insta-killed. The storage box system is here, albeit in a slightly different way. You need specific keys to open the storage boxes, and there are different types. Some may have ammo in them, or health, but you can use them to store whatever you want when you open them up. Oh, and get ready to grab a pen and paper, or the Notes app on your phone. Like Resident Evil, this game has lots of readable files with important info you need to progress. Some of it changes each playthrough, too, so using a guide can be tricky. And these files do not get stored in your menus. So write down any relevant information, or you'll have to walk all the way back just to reread it. Number 3. Parasite Eve II. Released in 1999, developed by Square. There are 2 Parasite Eve games on the PS1, and I recommend them both. However, I feel the first one is a bit too heavy on the RPG side of things to be considered for this list. I'd say it's a good honorable mention. However, the second game lightens up the RPG side of things considerably, as well as makes a lot of the exploration a lot more condensed and tight, like a classic Resident Evil. The combat system has been completely reworked as well, and this makes it play way more how you'd expect a survival horror game to play. The only thing this game's missing is voice acting, but the great cutscenes, exploration, and item management more than make up for it. At right around 8 hours or so, this is an excellent survival horror game from an unexpected developer. Square Enix, if you ever see this, bring back this series, please. You could do so much with it now. Also, maybe at some point I can talk about the first one more when I make a top 10 JRPGs that aren't Final Fantasy. Number 2. Silent Hill. Released in 1999, developed by Team Silent, I almost didn't include Silent Hill on this list. Like Resident Evil, if you're interested in survival horror at any capacity, you've probably already heard of Silent Hill. But the video is called Survival Horror Games That Aren't Resident Evil, so here it is. If somehow you haven't heard of this game, it's great. It plays very similarly to Resident Evil, without really having to worry about the size of your inventory. You can hold as much as the game needs you to, but that doesn't mean items aren't scarce. If you aren't paying close attention, it can be really easy to run out of health or ammo. Also, this game takes a different approach to its horror than Resident Evil. Silent Hill tries its best to get into your head, creep you out without you even fully knowing why you're creeped out. It's a great time, and worth playing if you want to truly experience the genre. Some of the puzzles in this one can be hard, but I promise they are all doable. I'm looking at you, Piano Puzzle, who I see so many people get stuck on. Number 1. Koudelka. Released in 1999, developed by Saknoth. Alright, this is the second RPG horror game on this list, but unlike Parasite Eve I, I do feel it deserves to be here. First of all, everything about this game is amazing and fits the genre perfectly. The exploration, the characters, the cutscenes, it's all so good. The only exception here is the combat. It plays out like a turn-based tactical RPG, where you move your characters on a grid. However, this combat makes for some really tense fights. Paired with resource management, and needing to decide how to level your characters, if you aren't careful, you can really screw yourself over, especially when all of your weapons can run out of ammo or break. Hope your fists are ready for a brawl. The cutscenes in this game are among some of my favorites on the PS1, utilizing mocap for the character movement, and really surprisingly good voice performances for the characters, making them extremely charming to watch. And exploring the environment while solving puzzles feels pretty close to how Capcom pulled it off in Resident Evil.
To tell you this, but the truth is...
What the?
Alright, and that's my top 8 survival horror games for the PS1 that aren't Resident Evil. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope your favorite game made the list. If it didn't though, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm sure I, as well as any other viewers, would love more recommendations. And hey, if this list helped you pick out a new game to play, or if you just enjoyed learning more about the genre, leave a like, and consider subscribing. More lists to come in the future, and with that, I hope you have a great day, and play many spooky games.